Hey guys, this is Andreas with Nothing But Tablets, and this is episode 1 of our Android screencast series. In this series, I will be covering various aspects of using an Android device. I will be running it parallel with a screencast series for the iPad, and at the beginning, at least, I will be covering sort of the basics of using an Android tablet, Android device, Android tablet. Mostly the same thing, and hopefully try to get some of the basics in place for people who either have an Android tablet and aren't quite sure how to do various things, or people want to buy one but have heard that it's not as easy to use as an iPad. Um, if you do have suggestions or requests, please send them in to us, and we will definitely look at them and probably make videos based on them. So in this first episode, I wanted to cover sort of the basics of what you can expect to see when you start using Android. Basically, the basics of the Android interface. So I loaded up um, this interface here, which I mean, this is going to this won't look identical on your tablet. This will basically vary depending on exactly what tablet you have. Even things like the menu bar and things like that is going to look different on different tablets. But I mean, the basics are going to be the same thing. So when it comes to Android, the home screen is called a launcher, and that's what I'm in right now. It's basically your home on the Android tablets. It at least by default, it normally has many screens that you can scroll across like this. Often have some basic stuff in there already, like weather stuff and pictures and everything like that. And this is sort of your home to customize like you want. You can put widgets here, which are these sort of mini applications that run in the launcher itself. And as you can see, you can move them around, and you can add shortcuts to your most used apps. Uh, on some launchers, you can make folders, and basically this is like the iPad home screen, but a bit more advanced, because um, you can add various shortcuts like to contacts, and you can have all these widgets. Like this is a note widget where you can just move stuff around and add notes to this digital corkboard thing. So this is all yours to customize, and this is sort of anything you do here is not going to affect any apps you have installed. I mean, if I delete this Gmail icon right here, um, that's not going to delete Gmail, because this is sort of like the desktop on a computer. I mean, those are just shortcuts, and that's the same here as well. And I'm going to go into customizing launchers and talk a bit about launchers in a later episode, but the basic concept here is that this is your home to fully customize as you want, and this is what you're going to go back to for every time you exit an app. Um, so most people will use this for, well, have things like the weather and perhaps their email, SMS if it's on a smartphone. You have this calculator and uh, various world time stuff, things like that. So that's all. That's completely your choice what you're going to put there. And then you have something else called the app tray, which is normally found with a button that has either 4 or 9 squares. In this case, 9 squares down here in the right corner. Um, it basically looks more or less like that no matter where you are. I can go back to my actual main launcher, and you can see that this icon right here has the 4 squares. That signifies that you open what's called the app drawer, and this is actually more along the functionality of the home screen on the iPad, because this actually does have all your apps, and depending on which launcher you have, you might actually uninstall something if you delete something from here, because this is designed to store all your apps. Sort of, well, that's because it's called the app drawer. Some launchers allow you to organize this. This doesn't. But yeah, basically this is more like the iPad home screen that have all your apps in sort of an organized manner. You might be able to create folders, but compared to the home screen allows you to choose just what apps you want and also have widgets and stuff like that. So what most people do is that they keep their most used apps on the home screen, perhaps in folders like I have right here, and then the apps that they don't use so often, they don't bother creating shortcuts to. They just leave them in the app tray like right here, because then they can just go and find them. And both the app tray and the actual sort of home screen is part of the launcher. The launcher can be replaced just like you would download an app like Facebook from just like you would download Facebook, you can download a new launcher, and it's very easy to do, but as I said, I will go into that in another episode. And a lot of people consider the home screen and the app launcher the actual UI of the tablet, and so they say that they don't want Samsung because they don't like how it looks, which is unfortunately something of a confusing point with Android, because it's so easy to replace. And when you have the ability to replace both the home screen and the app drawer, you're sort of left with only things like the status bar, the settings, how the settings look. That's basically everything that's left after you replace the launcher. Um, so that's very important to keep in mind when you buy an Android tablet. Although there are exceptions like the Kindle Fire, it's so unique in terms of Android that the same thing doesn't apply to it unless you start hacking at it. So that's the home screen and the app tray. That basically leaves the rest of the UI. If you have a tablet that ships with the tablet version of Android, you know, most likely have these on-screen buttons right here at the bottom. The leftmost one is the back button. Basically, it goes back depending on where you are in the browser. It goes back a page. If you're at the starting page of an app, it might actually close it and so on. But basically, it goes back. Then you have this little arrow pointing upwards. That's the home button, so that wherever you are, you just press it and you come back to your home screen. Then you have these two sort of slide looking things on top of one another. That's the multitasking button. Pressing it will bring up a list of your most recently run applications, both those that are no longer running and those that are actually running. So if you're using multiple applications at once, this is the button you're going to use in order to switch between them. So I can switch to settings and then quickly back to the browser, for instance. And then this little button number 4, that's something that Samsung puts on their devices. It's not in most Android devices. That's a screenshot button. So that basically takes the screenshot if you have a Samsung device. But that's not a standard Android button. Then the last one, that's the standard button. That's basically the menu button. You can see that the icon is very much like the one up in the top right corner. Pressing it when it's available, it's not available in all apps, will basically bring up the menu. The menu depends on what app you're in. So for instance, in the browser, it's going to bring up browser settings. That's one of your most important buttons. And also, if you hold it down, you're supposed to enter search mode, but that's also that also depends on the app. So some Android devices have a dedicated search button, and so yeah, that's it for the buttons. This one in the middle, that's also exclusive to Samsung. You don't have to worry about that unless you're using Samsung devices, and if you have a Samsung device that has that button, it basically just brings up some small apps that Samsung put on there. Then to the right side you can see a keyboard icon and a tiny red thing. That's actually notifications, and the reason why those are there right now, the keyboard button shouldn't be there, so it just disappeared. That's your notifications. If you update an app, there will be a notification saying that you updated the app. If you get an email, it will say there's an email, and the red button is basically just letting me know that I'm actually recording the screen. That's how I'm making this video. So everything you do will end up there. Let's see if I can just have any apps to update at all. I don't remember last time I did it. Okay, so let's just update one app. So now you can see a little arrow down there. That's a notification letting me know that it's updating. And it just let me know that it finished updating. And yeah. Now the antivirus software is scanning new software, and once all that's done, it basically goes back to normal. So that's the notifications. Then you have the clock, wireless icon, and battery status. Clicking that will bring up this sort of control panel. That's also going to depend on your device, and it isn't available at all on older versions of Android. But for Samsung, they've actually added all these useful buttons also to control screen brightness, Wi-Fi, GPS, and so on. For most people, this is going to be a shortcut to get to the device settings. And the device settings, it's basically the thing that's the most difficult to change, aside from the look of the status bar, the buttons, and sort of, because that's not part of the launcher. But if you ask me, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be in here all that often. But I should mention that under this tab called Applications and Manage Applications, if you don't have the ability to uninstall or remove applications in the app tray itself, you actually have to go into Settings and go here in order to delete them. This is sort of a point of confusion between the iPad and Android, because on the iPad you would just hold down on the icon and delete it, and the app would actually be physically gone from the device. That's not the case on Android. You either have to have a launcher that allows you to uninstall from the app tray, or you have to actually go into Settings, Applications, Manage Applications, find the application, and then hit uninstall. And if you're not aware of that little issue, you suddenly end up in way more apps than you actually need, because you think you've uninstalled them, but you really haven't. So that's definitely something to be aware of. So as for getting applications, the primary way of doing that will be through Google Play, which was previously called Android Market. It's basically like the App Store on the iPad. It uses a Google account for payment. You can browse featured apps, categories. You can search for apps, and you can also access your own applications with that little button that I just pressed. That allows you both to see which apps you have installed, which apps you've paid for or bought, downloaded previously but haven't been installed, and also which apps have updates available. And because apps don't have to go through a complicated review process with Apple in order to get published on Google Play, that also goes for updates. So you're likely going to see a lot more updates on Android than you are on iOS, the iPad, if you have used an iPad before. And also, instead of showing you a little red number on the app icon, it's going to display a notification down by where my red button is. So yeah, that's basically the very basic introduction to the interface of Android. Just being aware of the difference between the app drawer and the home screen, and that it's all part of a launcher, is going to get you a long way in terms of using Android. In the next episode, I think it will be, I will go into how you can customize the launcher. Like I have done right here. I have a single screen with lots of folders, custom icons, custom background, custom clock, all sorts of things. That will be in the next episode, because one of the advantages of Android is that you can customize it as you want. So be on the lookout for that episode. I think I might start releasing both the iPad and the Android episodes at on the same day. So yeah, make sure to look out for that. And as always, thank you for watching. And again, if you have any suggestions, feedback, request, anything you want covered, both for beginners and more advanced users, please don't hesitate to contact us in the comments, through email, the forums, whatever you like. So thank you for watching.